Charles John Huffam Dickens was born on 7 February 1812 at 1 Mile End Terrace, Landport in Portsea Island, Portsmouth. He was the second of the 8 children of Elizabeth Dickens and John Dickens. His father was a clerk in the Navy Pay Office and was stationed in the district temporarily. In 1814, the Dickens family moved to London, then 2 years later to Chatham, Kent, where Charles spent his early childhood years. Due to financial hardship, they moved back to London in 1822, where they settled in London's poor neighbourhood, Camden Town. John Dickens was called back to London in January 1815, and the family moved to Fitzrovia, Norfolk Street. They moved to Sheerness when Charles was 4, and then to Chatham, Kent, where he spent the formative years until he was 11. Charles's early life appeared idyllic, marked by a lot of outdoor activities and reading. He preserved vivid childhood memories, supported by an outstanding memory of people and events he used in his fiction. His father's brave work as a clerk at the Navy Pay Office provided him with a few years of private schooling, first at a dame school and then at a school in Chatham run by William Giles, a dissenter. The decisive moment for Dickens's career came at the age of 12. His father, who had a hard time handling money, was continually in debt and was imprisoned in 1824 in Marshalsea debtors' jail. For this reason, Charles was removed from school and forced to work in a warehouse that did blacking or shoe polishing to help support his family. He received 6 shillings a week pasting labels on blackened boot pots. The challenging and sometimes harsh conditions of work left profound psychological and sociological effect on Charles. This inspired his novels and essays, becoming the basis of his belief in changing socio-economic and labor-related conditions, the rigors he believed the poor faced unfairly. Dickens's mother, Elizabeth Dickens, died a few months after his incarceration and bequeathed him £450. Dickens was released from jail in recognition of his legacy. Dickens arranged for his creditors to be paid under the Insolvent Debtors Act, and he and his family left Marshalsea for Mrs. Roylance's home. Much to his relief, Dickens was allowed to return to school. He was eventually sent to Wellington House Academy in Camden Town, where he studied until March 1827. But even when Dickens was 15, his education was once again pulled out from under him. In 1827, to contribute to the income of his family, he had to drop out of school and work as an office boy. Dickens served as a junior clerk from May 1827 to November 1828 at the law firm of Ellis Blackmore, lawyers of Holborn Court, Gray's Inn. He was a talented mimic and represented those around him, clients, lawyers, and clerks. He was obsessed with theatres. He said he went to the theatre every single day for at least 3 years. The work was, as it turned out, a launching pad for his writing career. Then, having learned in his spare time about Gurney's shorthand system, he left to become a freelance reporter. A distant relative, Thomas Carlton, was a freelance writer at Doctors' Commons, and for almost 4 years, Dickens was able to share his box there to cover the legal proceedings. He started reporting for 2 prominent London newspapers just a few years later. In 1830, Dickens met his first love, Maria Bidnell, in David Copperfield, thought to be the model for the character Dora. Maria's parents disapproved of their courtship and sent her to school in Paris to end the relationship. At the age of 20 in 1832, Dickens was increasingly self-confident and energetic. Though he understood that he wanted fame, Dickens lacked a clear, specific sense of what he wanted to become. He loved mimicry and popular entertainment, lacking a simple, precise definition of what he wanted to be. Drawn to the theatre, he was an early Garrick member. He landed an acting audition at Covent Garden but missed the audition due to a cold before another opportunity presented itself. He began sending sketches under the pseudonym Boz to various magazines and newspapers in 1833, and his clippings were published in his first book, Sketches by Boz, in 1836. Dickens began publishing the posthumous papers of the Pickwick Club the same year. His series, originally written as captions for humorous sports-themed illustrations by the artist Robert Seymour, took the form of monthly serial installments. the posthumous papers of the Pickwick Club was widely popular with readers. He subsequently edited magazines including Household Words and All the Year Round, the later he founded. After a one-year commitment and between episodes 2 and 3 of the Pickwick Papers, Dickens married Catherine Thompson Hogarth on 2nd April 1936. Catherine was the daughter of George Hogarth, an editor of the Evening Chronicle. They were married in the St. Luke's Church, Chelsea, London. They had 10 children together before their separation in 1858. His success streak as a writer continued, and nobles like young Queen Victoria read his novels. Nicholas Nickleby, 1838 to 1839, The Old Curiosity Shop, 1840 to 1841, and lastly, his first historical book, Barnaby Rudge, A Tale of the Riots of '80, as part of the Master Humphrey's Clock series, 1840 to 1841, were all published in monthly installments until before being made into book. On 22nd January 1842, on their first journey to the United States and Canada, Dickens and his wife arrived in Boston, Massachusetts aboard the RMS Britannia. He penned down his impressions in a travelogue, American Notes for General Circulation. In Notes, Dickens gives a strong criticism of slavery, which he had criticized as early as the Pickwick Papers, contrasting the emancipation of the poor in England and the abolition of slavery abroad, citing newspaper reports of escaped slaves disfigured by their masters. During his American visit, Dickens spent a month doing lectures in New York City, raising the issue of international copyright laws and pirating his literary labors in America. He persuaded a group of 25 writers headed by Washington Irving to sign a petition to take to Congress. But the press was generally hostile to this, saying he should be grateful for his popularity and that it was mercenary to complain about his pirated work. Soon after his return to England, Dickens started working on the first of his Christmas stories, A Christmas Carol, published in 1843, followed in 1844 by The Chimes, and in 1845 by The Cricket on the Hearth. Of these, A Christmas Carol was most popular and did much to promote revived enthusiasm for Christmas joys in Britain and America by tapping into an old tradition. Dickens moved to Switzerland in 1846 after staying briefly in Italy 1844, where he started writing The Dombey and Son 1846 to 1848. This and David Copperfield in 1849 to 1850 represents a major creative break in Dickens's career, as his novels became more focused on serious themes and more carefully planned than his earlier books. Dickens suffered 2 catastrophic tragedies during the 1850s, his daughter and father's death. In 1858, he separated from his wife too. Dickens openly slandered Catherine and initiated an intimate relationship with a young actress named Ellen Nellie Tannen. Dickens undertook a series of hugely popular and remunerative reading tours after separating from Catherine. His first reading tour, which lasted from April 1858 to February 1859, was comprised of 129 performances in 49 different cities across England, Scotland, and Ireland. The continued obsession of Dickens with the theatrical world was depicted in Nicholas Nickleby's theatre scenes. He soon followed up his other plays, including A Tale of Two Cities, 1859, and Great Expectation, 1861, which were a resounding success. Set in England and Paris, A Tale of Two Cities is his best-known work of historical fiction and is regularly cited as the best-selling novels of all time, with over 200 million copies sold. On 8 June 1870, after a full day's work on and suffered another stroke in his house, he never recovered consciousness and died at Guards Hill Place the next day. As a young man, Dickens expressed disgust for certain aspects of organized religion. However, he honored the figure of Christ and is regarded as a professing Christian. Thank you very much for watching our videos. We'd like to give you another exciting video for you to enjoy next. Still, before then, our team will be thrilled if you can like this video and share it with your friends on social media. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss other exciting videos like this. Look at your screen now to see 2 other videos we handpicked for you to enjoy next. We love you.